Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to me reviewing movies and shows because I guess it's kind of been a while since I've covered a new movie or a new show or a new season of an established show. But now I think it's time. We've also got the new season of Arcane starting and that new Dune show on the horizon, so don't y'all worry. There'll be plenty to talk about for the next few weeks. Plenty to talk about. But yeah, The Penguin, it just ended, and I thought it was pretty damn great. Now, it's no secret that the past couple years for DC in the movie market and the video game market has been pretty rough. Nothing's really connected with audiences all that much. They did the whole thing where they basically scrapped the Zack Snyderverse, and now James Gunn is taking point, and a whole lot of shows and movies got canceled. Everything is kind of this big upheaval. But there are a couple exceptions to this recent downward spiral, most notably The Batman. Obviously, this video isn't going to be about that movie, nor am I going to reference it that much. And hell, I might just do a video on it in the future anyway, because there will be a lot to talk about. But all you need to know is that this movie, in regards to DC's output of the last few years, is kind of a diamond in the rough. And I'm really excited to see what Matt Reeves does his character, the sequel, which will probably release in the next couple of years. Another thing I took from that show was just how awesome Colin Farrell was as the Penguin. And lo and behold, we now have a show that's basically just about him, his origin story, and how he becomes the feared crime boss that we know him as in Batman media. Even though it is centered around a character that is tethered to one of the most popular comic book heroes ever, there are no superheroes in this show whatsoever. As a result, it barely even feels like a comic book adaptation or a superhero show or even a superhero spinoff. Batman has zero screen time in this series. Other than the fact that it stars Batman adjacent characters and the fact that it's basically still set in Gotham, this is a far cry from most other Batman media. And I think that's really cool and shows the writers involved with this new iteration of the Batman universe are confident enough to tell stories about specific characters in Gotham without having to rely on their titular hero. And the proof that they are capable of this very thing is evident once you watch this show, because as I said, despite some issues, it is really great. Colin Farrell, man, he is so good as this character. He embodies him so well that it's honestly really easy to forget that this is the same guy who plays like this character.
Just tell me what I've done to you. And if I've said something to you, maybe I said something when I was drunk and I've forgotten it, but I don't think I said something when I was drunk and I've forgotten it. But if I did, then tell me what it was. And I'll say sorry for that too, Colin.
And obviously the makeup artists who gave him the Penguin look did a great job as well and helped Farrell sell his performance just a little bit more. There are few actors that capture their comic book character as accurately as this. I honestly think he joins the ranks of like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Josh Brolin as Thanos, or like J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He captures the narcissism, the childish insecurity, the strive to really prove himself in the Gotham underworld, but also the charm and charisma to slip out of many situations where he should be dead. Watching this character pick up the pieces of the biggest Gotham crime families and play them for his vicious ends was really fun to watch. There to assist Penguin in his quest is Victor, this teenage kid who's caught trying to steal the rims off of Penguin's car. His arc is really well defined in this season. I like this journey that he goes on, where this tragedy that befell him and left him with almost no family, as well as his chance encounter with the Penguin that almost ended in immediate death, encouraged him to take a risk in his life, a risk that his father never did, a risk that he was afraid to take. He attained some of that success that he was able to have living at Crown Point and is able to, in a way, help out for his neighbors who lost their homes after the huge city-wide flood. I also think that Vic's character is a really great representative for the oppressed and poor people of Gotham, people that not even Batman has the manpower to save, people that even Bruce's parents neglected. Oswald sort of becomes what Rex was to him in the East Side when he was a kid, a man of the people, and I think that's a good distinction to make for the Penguin character. Even if he is a cold-hearted bastard, he has respect for people who have worked their way up the chain and have made a name for themselves, like him. But the best character in the show, and this is a major surprise for me, was Sophia Falcone, aka the Hangman, or so we're led to believe when the show starts. Her story is extremely tragic, forever scarred by sins committed against her by her own family, and I absolutely loved Kristen Milioti's performance as her. She totally sold this dejected, deranged character, and watching her come to terms with who she really wants to be and pondering her place in the family after being locked away for years was really intense to watch. I also really like that even though she isn't the Hangman and really doesn't want that label associated with her, since she is, after all, innocent, if she seeks to gain from it, she will claim the title. I think it's a really good detail that adds to the complexity of her character. She's still willing to get her hands dirty because by this point, there's really no way of washing the slate clean. It's also so easy to really feel for her, way more than even Cobblepot, honestly. In fact, her character is so good that there are points where she kind of outshines him, especially in the episode about her backstory, the inciting incident that got her locked up, and how the years she spent in Arkham changed her perspective. She's probably the only character in the entire show, aside from maybe Victor, that I was consistently rooting for, which goes to show just how despicable most of the people are in this show, and that goes double for Carmine, who I did think could get worse after that shit that he pulled in the Batman, but wow, he really topped himself here, I have to say. There are some other characters that weren't all that integral to the themes of the show, or a bit more on the side, like Clancy Brown as Maroni, who I thought was pretty menacing, pretty good, served as a solid secondary antagonist for the Penguin, obstacle in front of his quest to rule the Gotham underworld. As far as directing and cinematography goes, I'm so happy with the way Gotham looks in this new universe. The Batman began this trend, and this new show continues it beautifully. One knock I have against like Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, don't take this the wrong way, I love that trilogy, it's great, don't get twisted, but one small grievance I always have with it is that Gotham in that show is more realistic, and that goes with what the trilogy is going for, but the city just kind of looks and feels like any other big city, like New York or Chicago. Gotham doesn't look unique at all. It just kind of feels like any other big city in America. But in this show, Gotham truly feels the way Gotham should, in my mind. It has its personality, full of interesting people, locales, districts, boroughs. All types of people live in this city that occupy everything from the dank, dirty, crime-infested areas of Crown Point or the Gothic cathedral-sized restaurants and Art Deco-style homes and bars of Diamond District. The characters in this show know this city like the back of their hand because the writers do, and it shows. The level of detail here is just so appreciated. Everything has the heightened, slightly over the top, but stylish sensibility to it, with the outfits people wear, the way the show's shot, and the world building, and to the point where it really does feel like a comic book approach to a mafia type story, and that's really great. So in a way, it still does capture its comic book roots, but in the best ways, because it still retains the tone whilst being its own very thing. But it's not its own thing the whole time. That's where I will talk about what I didn't like, which wasn't much, so don't freak out. But the show ain't perfect. To touch on what I was talking about, the originality thing, there are times where the story adheres to the tropes of a crime, mafia, family style narrative a bit too much, like with the whole family meeting type scenes, which don't really feel like that interesting because the only interesting character in the room usually is by far Sophia and maybe Oswald. The rest of the Falcone crime family aren't really all that fleshed out and are just hateable, money-grubbing creeps who backstab each other constantly despite being a family. Everyone's got to have this really heavy New York accent, and some people are doing it better than others. Colin, he kind of pulls it off because the character of the Penguin is already so ridiculous and iconic at this point that it fits. But when it's like young Oz and his mom talking and having like a one-on-one, I struggled to not try to imitate them because it's just really funny.
Hey, Oswald, tell me.
Of course you do, Ma. You deserve the best life. And I'm gonna get it for you. I promise.
Yeah, the Christmas song. Thank you.
I love the
Christmas song. Yeah.
Christmas song.
Yeah, that's the one. But that's
You
the
couldn't hear that, but it was so New York. The Christmas song.
Yes.
Idiot.
And while we are on the topic of Frances, I'm not the biggest fan of her character, really, and I don't think it's really the actress's fault, aside from her accent being a little bit wonky. I just think her character is especially unlikable and a bit boring for a while. I know she's a mental condition, and obviously her character is very important for Penguin's development, but it only starts to become important, and she only shines as a character in the last couple of episodes. Before that, most of the time, she's just croaking Penguin's name, sitting around in her house, acting crazy or dancing, I guess. But I do think her character gets some really good story beats in the last couple of episodes that were well acted and believable, and by the end, I really did feel for her. And if you've seen the show, you know what I mean. I have also seen some reviewers and critics complain that the show pulls elements too egregiously from other mafia shows, mostly The Sopranos. And I also had this thought in the back of my head when I was first starting to watch the show, especially Penguin's relationship with his mother and all. But honestly, even in those initial episodes, the relationship was shown to be far more sinister than anything with Tony and Livia. I haven't seen all of Sopranos, or there's something else, but overall with this and the other aspects, I think the show was able to successfully carve out its own identity, and it does have its place in the crime drama genre. Crime drama genre. Huh. However, unlike Francis, there is one character I did not grow to appreciate more, who is definitely more minor, but still, I'll mention him, and that's Dr. Rush, Sophia's psychiatrist in the asylum. His character is just so whack, and I cannot make heads or tails of him. Like, at first, he's just this doctor who wants to help Sophia get through her trauma. He begrudgingly follows the orders of the head doctors of the asylum, and later he feels guilty and quits and becomes a shrink for Sophia, which gets out. But then, like, Sophia claims all this stuff about him to his face, and suddenly he's just insanely devoted to her, and he'll do anything for her, weird sex shit, and chop off the finger of an old lady even though he took the fucking Hippocratic oath. Like, what? And then once Penguin puts Sophia back in the asylum, he's just suddenly a doctor there again. Like, how the hell does that work? If he quit, then why the hell would they want him back? How did he get back so quickly? He goes from being this normal, nice, and well-meaning dude to this insane nut job in the span of like a single episode. Maybe it's the actor they picked for him, because I just can't imagine a guy like this being an absolute lunatic. I don't know, it is Gotham, but yeah, weird character. But yeah, despite those complaints, I think this is a really good season of TV, and an already stacked year for show releases, honestly. And The Penguin as a show does wonders for DC, because it's continuing to give them more opportunities to carve out their own identity and stand out against Marvel and X-Men and Star Wars, because like every big property has to make a cinematic universe now. Especially since most of the superhero output from both DC and Marvel has been mostly lacking, and superhero content has to really stand out in order to be successful. It's a really smart idea to focus on a character who is not a superhero, who is not a good guy, because the Penguin is not a good person. He's a self-righteous, backstabbing mama's boy who will do anything to conform to his own twisted goals, even if that means choking somebody who he views as family with his bare hands. And I think a show that is solely focused around and centered around a person like that is such a breath of fresh air. And I hope more companies see how well this show did and follow in its footsteps. This show is exactly what DC needs right now, and I'm so excited to see what comes next for the Batman mythos, for the Penguin character, for that entire area of DC. So yeah, I'm gonna give The Penguin an 8.5 out of 10. If you like crime shows, if you like Batman, and who doesn't, this is a no-brainer. And I swear to God, if Rocksteady makes a new Arkham game that sucks or is another VR exclusive, I will start a fucking riot. Okay, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. See you.